Hey there, I'm glad you're here. Tonight, we're going back, way back, to a time of longhouses and long winters, smoky hearths, and stories whispered by firelight. A day in the life of a Viking girl, not a warrior, not a queen, just one of many, waking up to frost, goats, and the weight of survival. And yet she endures. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, raw, vivid, and just a little bit grimy, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if there's a particular person or place in history you'd like to spend a day with next time, tell me in the comments. I read them all. Now, go ahead, dim the lights, get cozy, pull your blanket up to your chin, because we're heading to the 9th century, to a windswept Viking settlement on the edge of the world, where the lice are alive, the stew is always boiling, and life is anything but simple. Let's begin. Hey, you're awake. Congratulations, you've just survived another night in a 9th century Viking settlement. The bad news? So have the lice. You open your eyes to the sound of snoring. Not just one person, a symphony. Your entire family, mother, father, 3 siblings, your aunt who never married, and someone's baby, all sharing one smoky longhouse, sprawled together like laundry that got up and decided to breathe. There's no such thing as a bedroom here. Just a communal sleeping pile atop straw, furs, and the occasional goat. The air smells like smoke, sweat, and sheep. You don't even flinch anymore. That's just what home smells like. Your body aches. You're 15, which means you're already expected to act like a full-grown adult, and you feel it. Your back is stiff from sleeping on straw that's been reused so many times it probably qualifies for ancestor status. You shift and feel something crunch underneath you. Hopefully just a beetle. Hopefully the roof above your head, thatched. Woven reeds, turf, mud, romantic in sagas and practice. A ceiling that leaks every time it rains and shelters generations of spiders with disturbingly stable property rights. There's a hole in one corner where the smoke from the hearth tries and mostly fails to escape. It's also where the cold sneaks in every night, nibbling at your toes. The fire in the hearth has burned down to warm ash. The family dog, one-eyed, mange-ridden, and somehow both comforting and deeply questionable in hygiene, is curled beside the coals, farting softly into the pre-dawn gloom. You sit up, scratch your arm, again, fleas, remember? And grope for your tunic. It's rough wool, unlined, itchy, and smells vaguely of wet moss. It's also the only thing you own. Underwear? Optional. If you're lucky, you have an underdress. If not, it's just you and the coarse wool, grinding together like 2 drunk stones. You pull on your outer kirtle, a sort of sleeveless overdress, and reach for your apron, which doubles as a tool belt, napkin, pouch, and emergency tissue. Your hair, braided yesterday, slept on sideways. You don't have a mirror, but if you did, it would scream. You tuck the worst bits under a headscarf and call it done. Breakfast, sort of. You trudge to the hearth, grab the ladle, and give the pot a stir. It's still there. The same barley and turnip pottage that's been on since the last full moon. Every day, someone adds more water, a chopped onion, or a rat-bitten root vegetable. It's not a meal. It's an ongoing experiment. You ladle yourself a bowl. It smells edible, sort of. You fish out a floating beetle, blow on the steam, and take a sip. It's hot and bland, and slightly gritty because sand got into the barley jar again. You chew anyway. It's either this or nothing. There's a crust of rye bread beside the pot. It's so hard you could kill a man with it. You dunk it in the pottage until it's soggy enough to gnaw without breaking a tooth. It tastes like damp wood and duty. You wash it all down with sour whey. Thin, acidic, not refreshing, but safer than water from the stream, which may or may not currently contain a decomposing sheep. And no, there's no coffee, no tea, No nice warm anything except for the vague possibility that the pottage didn't poison you. If you're lucky, you might get a sliver of cheese. But today's not a cheese day. As you eat, the longhouse comes to life. Your mother is already sweeping the floor with a birch broom that's more stick than bristle. She's humming something under her breath, an old tune about Freya and fishing nets. Your younger brother whines about his cold feet. Your father mutters about the neighbor's ox again breaking the fence. You all ignore the goat in the corner who is very much not supposed to be inside. You glance out the open door flap. The mist is still thick across the fields. The sea is just beyond the trees, and you can hear the distant call of gulls. The wind is sharp and salty. It cuts through the tunic like you're wearing hope instead of fabric. You sigh, another day. And it's only just begun. Outside, there's wood to chop, grain to thresh, fish to get, clothes to wash, nettles to collect, and a weaving project that's been giving you existential despair for a week. You stuff the last of the soggy bread in your mouth and reach for your shoes. They're less shoes and more leather suggestions. They barely fit, barely hold together, and make a squelching noise when you walk, but they're yours, which makes them rare. You grab the knife hanging by the door, not for self-defense, just for chores, and step outside into the wet grass. The sky's gray, the air is cold, and your hands already sting from wind, but you're alive. You're you're Viking. So you've stepped outside into the glorious north. It's damp. It's gray. It's cold in the kind of way that makes your bones feel like they've been quietly replaced with fish bones. You squint into the wind, pull your headscarf tighter, and immediately trip over a chicken. Because of course you did. Chickens are everywhere in your village, roaming, clucking, plotting. You're not entirely sure if they belong to anyone, or if they're just squatters who have figured out that Viking settlements come with free barley spills and zero law enforcement. You kick the nearest one gently out of your path and continue on toward the well. Your first job of the day, water duty. The well is 50 paces away and filled with icy, slightly questionable water. You hoist the bucket, feel your spine protest, and trudge back toward the longhouse, trying not to spill it or slip in the mud, which would turn this chore into a humiliating redo. Your reward for this noble labor, more chores. You return to find your mother scolding your youngest brother for putting dirt in the butter again, your aunt inspecting a splinter in her toe like it's trying to assassinate her, and your father arguing with the neighbor about some extremely disputed fence posts. You set down the bucket, no one thanks you, no one looks up. That's life here. You don't do things to be noticed. You do them because they must be done. Or because someone larger than you told you to. Now it's on to laundry. This involves scrubbing woolen garments in a wooden tub using lye soap so strong it could probably strip paint off a longship. The water is freezing. The soap burns your cuts. Your fingers go numb and a beetle crawls across the wet tunic like it pays rent. Meanwhile, your cousin Sigrid is giving birth in the longhouse. Oh, didn't we mention that? Yes, she's 17 and having her third child. The midwife arrived an hour ago, a stern woman named Irsa who smells like sheep tallow and regret. She sent everyone under 30 outside except you, because your mother thinks it's time you learn something useful. So while your hands are deep in someone else's laundry, you're also trying not to listen to the chorus of agony, shouting, and holy invocations going on behind you. At one point, someone screams, "Thor, take me now." And it's not even clear. Whether it's from pain or boredom, this too is life. Childbirth is loud, it's messy, it's terrifying. And it's also normal. Every woman you know was born this way, and many died the same. Later, when it's over and the baby is swaddled and screaming, you'll be asked to hold it. And when you look into its squashed red face, you'll think two things. One, please, don't be on me too. Will this be me in a few years? And the answer is probably. You're 15. That means you're of age. Technically, you've been of age since you were 13. Marriage proposals could come at any moment via fatherly. Bartering, a cousin's sly suggestion, or a stranger's ox-related debt. But for now, you do the laundry. Then you help clean the fish your brother caught, still twitching, still staring at you like you've just betrayed it. You chop it into pieces and salt the meat to preserve it. Then you feed the offcuts too. The dog, who loves you for exactly 5 minutes. Then you spin wool. Your drop spindle is simple, wooden, worn smooth from hours of use. The wool is oily, full of lanolin, and occasionally still has bits of sheep poop in it. You pluck them out, make thread, and wrap it around your fingers like it matters, because it does. Every tunic, every sail, every bed cover begins here. In someone's hand, probably yours. The sun's getting higher now, which means it's time for a break. Just kidding. There are no breaks. There's just changing tasks. You check the snares you set yesterday for rabbits. Nothing, again. But the tracks are fresh. And you think maybe tomorrow, if not, dinner will be barley pottage again. No one complains. Complaining doesn't cook meat. On your way back, you pass the neighbor's house. And there she is, Gudrun, 16, perfect hair, smells faintly of herbs. Doesn't have to do the laundry because her mother owns 2 slaves. She waves at you. You wave back, stiffly. She's never mean, just ... incredibly not poor. The kind of girl who has embroidery on her tunic cuffs. The kind of girl your future husband will compare you to while drunk and unwise. You try not to hate her, it doesn't work. Suddenly there's shouting. From the other side of the village, 2 men are wrestling in the mud. It's Thorvald and Jerton again, this time over stolen chickens. Everyone gathers to watch. A few throw insults. Someone throws an egg. Eventually, the Jarl's man comes and settles it, splits the flock down the middle, makes both men swear. Oaths over a carved stone, and takes 2 hens as a settlement fee. Justice. You return home with sore hands, a headache from the smoke, and a faint, constant itch from whatever is living in your woolen dress. You don't even question it anymore. Your father is repairing fishing nets. Your mother is pounding herbs into a paste to rub on Sigrid's swollen feet. Your brother is carving rude symbols into a stick and pretending it's a sword. And you're watching the sky shift from gray to amber as the sun creeps downward, and you think, this is the middle of the day. And you're already tired enough to lie down and sleep for 3 winters, but no one's done yet. There's wood to chop, there's stew to stir, there's bedding to shake out and lice to pick from each other's scalps in the flickering firelight. There's evening to survive, and maybe, if the gods are kind and the wind doesn't turn, a moment of quiet, just a moment. Before tomorrow starts all over again, the sun is sinking. Slowly, reluctantly, like it doesn't really want to. Leave you here, but has more important places to be. You know the feeling. Inside the longhouse, the air is thick. Not with warmth, gods, if only, but with smoke, sweat, sour milk, damp wool, and the unmistakable scent of someone's foot wraps drying too close to the fire. Your family is gathered around the central hearth, the only source of light, heat, and vague social interaction that doesn't involve yelling about chickens. Dinner's in the works. Again. It's pottage. Again. But this time there's a twist. Someone found a turnip. A genuine, dirt-covered, misshapen gift from the soil gods. Your mother chops it with theatrical flair and drops it into the bubbling cauldron with a look that says, don't get used to this. You're not sure how long the stew has been going. Days? Weeks? It's less a meal and more a culinary time capsule. Layer after layer of root vegetables, herbs, bones, bits of yesterday, memories of fish from last Tuesday, and someone's fingernail from the day before that. No one talks about the fingernail. You sit close to the hearth, palms out. The fire crackles politely. You can't actually feel the heat, but the illusion is comforting. A toddler is chewing on a chicken bone beside you. A great aunt is spitting into the fire and muttering about the wind spirits again. No one corrects her. She's survived 5 winters and 3 husbands. She's earned her eccentricity. Across from you, your cousin Sigrid, the one who gave birth earlier, is already back to sewing. Because of course she is. Her face is pale, her knees are shaking, her dress still shows a smear of blood, but no one is going to give her the evening off. Not here, not now, not ever. Childbirth doesn't get you a break. At best, it gets you a bit of extra turnip. You pick up your spindle again, more thread, always more thread. Outside, the wind howls like it knows your name. Somewhere during the meal, if you can call sipping turnip gruel from a cracked wooden bowl a meal, a stranger knocks on the longhouse door. This is rare, unusual, borderline dramatic. You set down your bowl, heart leaping into your throat. A traveler, a traitor, a god in disguise testing your hospitality. Nope, it's Halvard, your cousin twice removed on your mother's uncles. Side, he smells like wet fur and has a face like a carved shoe. He's here because his roof collapsed and his goats are traumatized. He asks if he can stay the night. Your father sighs and gestures to the far end of the room, near the corner where the mice have claimed squatters' rights. More bodies. Same. Space. Privacy isn't a concept in your world. Your longhouse is one big communal experience. You sleep beside family, guests, goats, and sometimes a sheep that no one remembers actually owning. The fire dims. The baby cries. You stretch out on your bed, which is a generous term for a blanket over straw that smells like a dead cat got trapped under it and died of embarrassment. You wrap your cloak tighter around your shoulders, nestle into the corner, and try not to breathe too deeply. The lice begin their nightly festival. Someone farts. Someone else coughs. Your little brother kicks you in his sleep, and you lie there, awake, listening to the creaking beams above, the wind scraping against the wooden walls, the snuffling of pigs outside, and the slow, soft breathing of your exhausted mother just inches away. You don't really sleep in the Viking age. You drift lightly, always half alert, one ear on the fire, one ear on the door, because wolves don't send invitations, raiders don't knock politely, and the gods, they visit in your dreams or your nightmares. You close your eyes anyway. Tomorrow's coming, and the only thing more exhausting than today is doing it all over again. Congratulations, you're awake again, which in a Viking longhouse doesn't mean you slept well, just that you weren't trampled by goats or frozen stiff in the night. Someone's already up poking the fire. It's your grandmother, of course. The woman hasn't slept since the reign of Harold Fairhair. She mutters to herself in Old Norse and throws another log on the embers like she's personally keeping Ragnarok at bay. You pull on your tunic, still damp, and splash your face with freezing water from a wooden bucket that may or may not have a beetle swimming in it. You ignore the beetle ignores you. Mutual respect. Today is market day, which sounds exciting, like something festive. It's not. It's a 4-hour walk, 2 blisters, 1 half-frozen stream crossing, and the promise of a good chance to trade goat cheese for dull sewing needles. You pack your bundle. A few rough woven cloths. Your mother told you weren't quite shamefully uneven. A pouch of dried fish. A single carved bead you whittled while trying not to cry over your spinning duties. And you're off. The market is generous. It's 6 stalls, a goat that keeps escaping its tether, and a man with no teeth trying to sell magical rocks he clearly picked up from a riverbed that morning. You dodge the chicken droppings, nod to a few other girls your age who look just as cold, bored, and hungry as you, and pretend to examine a pair of wooden combs while keeping one eye on a man who's either drunk or having a spiritual vision. Possibly both. Bartering begins. There's no currency here, not for you. You trade cloth for a bone needle, a fish for a half loaf of rye, and almost give away your bead in exchange for a rusty brooch before your friend Brynhild hisses. That's a dead man's clasp. It smells like grave. You decide to keep your bead. By midday, it's warmer, but not in a helpful way. Just warm enough for the snow to melt into mud. Deep, hungry mud that steals your shoes and your dignity. You pass by a man yelling about Thor's blessings. His beard is frozen into icicles. He's selling charms carved from antler, guaranteed to keep the frost giants out of your dreams. You know they don't work. You bought one last year. The frost giants are very much still visiting. But myths are myths, and they keep the town from despairing entirely. As you pass the skull, the village poet, he's reciting tales of gods and monsters, of love, death, and vengeance. He gestures grandly with a mead horn that you're pretty sure is empty. You pause, because even though his stories are wildly exaggerated, Loki did not seduce a sea serpent last winter. They're yours, your people's. And when everything else is dirt, cold, and obligations, myths are how you remember that you matter. You toss him a bit of dried fish and move on. On the way home, your brother tries to wrestle a tree for fun. Your cousin trips in a puddle and invents 3 new swear words. You all laugh until your sides ache, a kind of laughter that almost makes the cold tolerable. Almost. Then you return to the village, just as the sun vanishes like it has something better to do. Your father is angry that the goat wandered. Off again. Your sister is furious because your mother gave away the last of the good cloth without asking. There's shouting. Always shouting. You slip inside, hand your mother the bone needle. She doesn't say thank you, but her jaw relaxes a little. In Viking culture, that's practically a hug. Dinner is the same stew. Still includes the turnip. Miraculous. Your back hurts, your feet are bleeding. You're 17, and already your body creaks like a warship in high seas. And still, you're lucky. You didn't freeze. You weren't raided. You still have a family. And tomorrow, you do it all again. So you've made it through morning chores, market mud, and a dinner that tasted like boiled despair. Time to relax. Wrong, because in a Viking village, relaxation is a myth. Right up there with elves, trolls, and a man who can wash his own clothes. Without being threatened, tonight there's tension in the air. Not the usual kind, not the goat ate my tunic tension. No, this is thicker. Like stew. Like someone insulted someone's cousin's second wife, and now there's blood in the snow. Welcome to the blood feud. It starts small. An argument over a fishing net, maybe. Or someone accidentally let their pigs wander through someone else's. Barley patch. But here's the thing. In a Viking village, revenge is a family value. Your uncle once told you that blood feuds are like embroidery. They start with one thread and end in a tangled mess no one understands. The men gather near the fire. Loud voices. Names are dropped. Someone mentions an ancestor who died suspiciously 40 winters ago. Someone else grips an axe just a little too tight. There's a tense silence, broken only by the sound of your cousin slurping stew with his mouth open, possibly on purpose. Your mother sends you and your sisters out to fetch more water. Translation: get out before the men start throwing antlers. On the way to the stream, you pass that one man. You know the one. Every village has him. Wild hair. Eyes that say, I haven't blinked in a decade. He's talking to his geese again, loudly, in perfect Norse. He swears Odin told him the geese know when it will rain. You nod respectfully and back away slowly. Because in this village, eccentric is sacred, especially if it smells faintly of mushrooms and fear. Back home, things have settled slightly. No one's been maimed, which counts as a peaceful mite. Your little brother is playing with a carved horse. Your aunt is stitching up someone's sleeve with a thread she pulled from her own sock. The fire crackles. The dog farts. This is as close to tranquility as it gets. And then someone brings up bathing. Oh no, let's get one thing straight. Vikings were surprisingly clean. But that doesn't mean it's fun, or warm, or optional. Bath day is Saturday, which sounds structured, until you remember the bath is a wooden tub in a drafty hut, shared by the entire family. The water is boiled over hours. The steam chokes the room. The water is reused. You go in last. It's less spa and more hot broth of your relatives. Soap? You mean lice soap. The kind that strips skin, dignity, and possibly the first 3 layers of your soul. You emerge pink, shivering, and somehow still not clean. But now you smell like birch ash and effort, so that's something. Later, you sit near the hearth, trying not to itch. The stories begin again. Tonight, it's the tale of Freydis, that ferocious woman who beat warriors with a sword while barefoot and pregnant. Is the story true? Who knows? But everyone leans in when it's told. Because Viking girls don't get fairy tales. They get warrior ballads with body counts. Your grandmother falls asleep mid-cursing someone. Your father snores like a thunder god. The dog curls against your feet. Your tunic still smells of stew, but the fire is warm. You stare into the flames and wonder if one day someone will tell stories about you. Maybe they'll say you stood your ground during a raid. Maybe you'll marry a merchant and travel east. Maybe you'll never leave this freezing mud pit of a village. But maybe, just maybe, you'll be more than a footnote in someone else's saga. The fire is dying. The hut is quiet for about 2 minutes. Then comes the horn. Not the nice kind. Not the dinner is ready horn. No, this is the bad horn. The one that says someone's coming and they probably aren't here for stew. Your father leaps up, grabs his axe. Your mother starts shoving things into a sack. Cheese, cloaks, one slightly confused chicken. Your older brother bolts for the door, yelling for the others. You freeze. Not from fear, exactly, but because this isn't the first time. Welcome to a Viking raid. And this time, it might be your village on the receiving end. The fear is cold and fast, like falling through ice. You peek outside. Shadows moving near the tree line, torches, voices not speaking your dialect. It's not a full raid, not yet, more like a warning. A flex, a reminder that peace is temporary. The men form a loose wall near the boats. Spears, axes, more yelling. But after a tense half hour, the strangers drift away. Maybe they were just testing, maybe they were lost. Maybe they'll be back tomorrow with twice as many. Nobody says it, but everyone knows. You're never really safe. That night, your uncle sharpens his axe like it insulted his mother. Your aunt mutters a charm under her breath, protection runes, scratched into a bit of bone and hidden in the thatch above the door. Vikings may be tough, but they're also deeply superstitious. Every cough could be a curse. Every dream might be a sign. Every raven circling the roof is either an omen or just very nosy. You've seen it all, the carved rhinestones at the edge of the village, marking old battles. The little pouch of hair your cousin wears to ward off sea spirits. The man who insists the tree once spoke to him and now refuses to eat turnips on Thursdays. You've even visited the Sakona once, the village witch woman. She lives just beyond the fields, talks in riddles, and smells like onions and thunder. She looked at you once and said, "You'll outlive your husband," which would be more comforting if you had any idea who he is. As the village settles again, you sit outside, wrapped in a coarse blanket that scratches like regret. You look up at the sky. It's dark, vast, full of stars and old gods. You whisper a prayer, not to Jesus, not yet, not here, but to the old ones, Odin, Freya, Thor, and then a voice behind you. You ever wonder if Odin gets bored? It's him, the old man with one eye and two contradictory stories for every scar. No one knows his real name. He's just Stick One Eye. He claims he once arm wrestled Loki, that he saw Valhalla in a thunderstorm, that his beard grew longer after he killed a Saxon with a spoon. You nod politely because it's safer than arguing. Tonight he's calm, watching the same stars. You know, he says, there's power in stories. You say something enough times, people believe it. You think about that. Maybe you're a story slowly being written, one flea-bitten, fish-scented, frostbitten page at a time. You yawn. The fear of the raid has faded into exhaustion. Your sister is asleep inside, drooling on the dog. The fire's nothing but embers. You whisper to yourself, tomorrow I'll be braver. Tomorrow I'll climb the ridge. Tomorrow I'll learn to throw a spear like a man. Tomorrow. But tonight, you just breathe. Because you lived another day. And in a Viking world, that's already a victory. Morning doesn't begin. It arrives the way a drunk uncle arrives at a feast. Too early, too loud, and smelling faintly of old fish. The frost hasn't melted yet. Your joints ache. Your tunic is still damp from yesterday's storm, and the goat has eaten part of your shoe. But today is different. Because today, someone died. It wasn't a dramatic death. No axe, no blood feud, no fiery ship drifting into the mist. It was your neighbor, Astrid, an old woman who had outlived 2 husbands, 4 sons, and every single rule society gave her. She died in her sleep, mouth open, hand curled like she was still clutching her spindle. The village gathers before the sun clears the trees, not out of affection necessarily, just ... because that's what you do. You help carry her body to the pyre. The wood is damp. It smokes more than it burns. Someone chants a verse. No one knows all the words. The priest is late or drunk, or both. The Sikona arrives, whispering charms, casting herbs into the smoke. There's a silence, then a crack of flame. Astrid is going to the gods now, or the Vorms, depending on your theology. No one discusses it out loud, but some people cross themselves when no one's looking. Even in a Norse village, Christianity is sneaking in, hitching a ride with traders and missionaries. Odin still rules the longhouse, but Christ is lingering in the shadows. You're not sure what to believe. So you do what Astrid did. You keep going. After the funeral, you help clean up. You scrape ash into a wooden bowl. Someone says it keeps away bad spirits. Someone else wants to use it as eyeliner. You sit by the fire as dusk falls again. Your arms are sore. Your heart is heavier than you want to admit. Is that all there is? You ask, not expecting an answer. Your mother hears you. She pauses, then says, there's weaving, there's stew. There's waking up tomorrow and doing it again. You wait for more. That is the answer. Because the truth is, you won't be remembered for your axe skills or the number of cattle you raised. You'll be remembered if someone tells your story. And most of the time, they won't. Women like you live, you bleed, you raise the next ones. You hold it all together with bone needles, spit, and rage you've never been allowed to name. And when you die, if you're lucky, someone will light a fire and say your name once. That's it. And yet, it's enough. Because you weren't just in history. You held it together. Later, your sister braids your hair in silence. Your brother sharpens a spear that probably won't save him. Your father tells a story that probably isn't true. And you You stare into the flames, trying to memorize the feeling of being here, alive, cold, sore, but still here. You don't know what the gods want from you, but you're giving them one hell of a show. And that's a day in the life of a Viking girl, not a queen, not a shield maiden, just ... A human, hungry, strong, exhausted, hilarious in her own silent way. No epics will be written about her. No sagas will sing her name. But her blood is in the bones of every story that came after. Even this